This is the best cheap driver you can buy. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here, and I'm with a PGX driver that I purchased, and I wanted to answer the question that I saw in comments from a few of my previous videos where people were asking, what's the best cheap driver that I can buy? Now, I'm going to admit that I have not bought all the cheap drivers out there and tried them all. But over the years, I've had a number of them, and I did not just arbitrarily pick this one. I kind of thought about it. I thought, what are the needs of the people that I see the most when they start golfing or when they golf intermittently, and what do they really need? So I know that there are a lot of brands that speak to our ego and want us to buy something that's highfalutin, and certainly I use a highfalutin driver, a TaylorMade Sim 2 Max, and it's a very, very good driver. I have learned to like it. It's one of the best drivers that I have personally ever hit. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do was find a driver that was affordable but had the features that I thought would be good, and then we will test it out. Now, first of all, I want to give you a little tour of this. It says one right there. You get a head cover with this. It's from Pinemeadow Golf PGX, which is kind of cool because I always kind of think of PXG. Doesn't look like their logo or color scheme, and it's a nice little head cover, right? We get a driver which is very sporty looking. It's got this black and lime green color scheme, maybe a neon green a little bit. As you can see here, there are no adjustable weights. It's just a traditional driver shape. It's got some inset areas here that are color filled. It's kind of cool. As far as I could tell, it only comes in one loft, which is 10.5 degrees, which is probably going to be decent for a lot of people. Now, I will say that I play a little bit lower loft, but some people probably need 12 degrees or more. But for a lot of us that don't really know, you don't know what your launch angle is, you're just a recreational golfer, trunk slammer, those types of things, then I think 10.5 is just fine, right? So it does have this matte black finish here, and that is echoed on the top here. So there's nothing fancy going on. It's just a nice clean driver head to look at. You do have a little green pip right there, and it says Pinemeadow on the toe right there. Now if I flip this over here and show you the head, what we have is kind of this raw steel face. I don't think this is titanium. I kind of think it's a stainless steel face, and it's kind of shiny, but it's nice and smooth, so hopefully that will reduce spin, which is good for everyone. And I didn't take this club apart, but my guess is that this head is about 200 grams, which is really what the standard driver is, and that's pretty good for most people. Pretty short little hosel here. I do want to show you that it does come with their Pinemeadow shaft here, and while this one is called the regular flex, one of the things that I noticed wagging this around a little bit is that, I don't know, I mean, it might be regular flex, but almost feels a little bit like an A flex to me, maybe somewhere in between. I know that all shafts are different kick points, different areas where they're reinforced. Can't tell you if this is butt heavy or anything like that, but it seems like it's fine. It also comes with a pretty standard, low rent, but pretty typical rubber PGX grip on it too, which feels fine. I certainly would say that that's probably one of the easiest things that you could customize about this. Put on a grip of your choice, take it off, you know, $5-6. You can have a grip that maybe is a little bigger, maybe a little more comfortable, maybe has the alignment aids that you need, right? But that being said, it's going to raise the price of this club considerably by percentage because this was pretty affordable, under 60 bucks, which is pretty awesome. Now, one of the big things that I want to show you with this, and the reason I really picked this up is because of its price point, but also because of this face. So what you can see here is on the toe, it says it's anti-slice technology, and what that is an offset face here. It's probably not going to be the easiest thing to see, but you can kind of see that face has the bulge and roll right here, but then you can see where it flares back out to meet the hosel, and that's because this has a very slight, a very subtle offset. Now, I have shown you golf club heads that have offset, which is more dramatic. In fact, this kind of reminds me of the Cobra F Max offset heads. It's just a very, very subtle offset. In fact, at a glance, I would not even be able to tell. I think for a lot of people that are setting up to this, they probably wouldn't even notice. And I certainly think that people standing off the tee box watching you tee off would never have any idea that this is an offset head. Now, the offset technology here means that the head is slightly delayed as it would be on a leading head, and that is supposed to help give you just a little bit more time to close that face back up because you're kind of dragging the head. Now, I have always been a little skeptical whether offset technology really does anything. I'm sure it does, but I just feel like moving the face back 2-3 millimeters is so slight. How can it really do much? But I was actually surprised on the range because I will say that I felt like this had a draw bias to it. Now, one of the things that I will say is that I don't know, but I kind of suspect that besides the offset head, that they might heel weight it a little bit too. So I can't see inside because I'm not Superman, but my guess is that their anti-slice technology might include just a little bit of heel weighting, maybe a little bit of thicker metal down here. So I don't know that for sure, but I will say that my experience was that this is maybe a little bit draw biased. All right. Now, one of the reasons that I call this the best cheap golf club was because of the name brand. Now, Pinemeadow Golf is maybe not a brand that you've heard of. You certainly probably haven't seen ads. You don't know anyone on tour playing them, but they've made clubs for a very long time. They make all different types of clubs. I've used everything from putters to wedges, and I would just say that I've always been pleased with them. I wouldn't say that I've been extraordinarily impressed by them or anything like that, but as far as I can tell, they've always done their job, and I haven't found anything to break or fall apart. Certainly not like buying a golf club on Wish and having the thing fall apart after 4 hits, right? So they are definitely a player in the golf club space, and they do make a lot of golf clubs. For me, I've taken my TaylorMade Sim 2 and I've adjusted the weight so that it really kind of fits my swing, so I wouldn't expect to get as good a results with this as I would with my TaylorMade. But I did take it to the driving range and hit a bunch of shots. I recorded some of those. Now, I wasn't using the most accurate launch monitor in the world, but I did go ahead and hit over 100 combined shots with both of these, and I averaged out the data. And I will say that, one, I was impressed with this club. It definitely feels fine. It has a decent sound to it, and I did send the ball pretty far, farther than I guess I would have expected with a cheap club. I kind of expected to have to hit a bunch of shots to kind of get warmed up with it, get the feel of it, but you know, it pretty much plays like a driver like you would expect. Now, I will say that my first shots with this were definitely going left. Now, I don't know if that's because of the weighting and then also the offset. I'm sure it has something to do with that, but what that allowed me to do actually was put the ball a little farther forward than I would normally do. Actually, when I made the adjustments for that, I was able to straighten out the ball a little bit more. Right now, I tend to play a little bit of a draw, so that wasn't a surprise to see the draw, but some of those I really kind of pulled to the left pretty hard. But I was able, after a few shots, to start making some adjustments to kind of straighten them out. So I definitely think that this anti-slice technology is legit and works, and probably is going to be good for most people. And if you've never played golf and you're thinking, hey, I'm going to spend a few bucks and put together my first set here, and you think, hey, I'm probably not going to have a problem just sending them straight, well, my guess is that you'll probably be just like the other 98% of golfers that tends to slice. So having some anti-slice technology is probably the right way to go. Now, I will say that I could send some of these pretty far. I definitely sent some of these pretty close to what I was sending them with my TaylorMade. Now, on average, I was sending my TaylorMade farther, not further, because farther is a measure of distance. And I will say that the numbers here don't lie. My TaylorMade on average was going 211 yards, and the PGX was going on average 199 yards. So there you have it, 12 yards. You might be saying now, Pete, well, you know what? A cheap driver to an expensive driver, 12 yards for the amateur golfer is a lot, and so it's definitely worth paying a premium to get those extra yards. Well, I think I know where those extra yards come from. So on my TaylorMade, I actually play an autoflex shaft, and that autoflex shaft, if you've watched some of my old videos, definitely adds a little club head speed and gets you a little more distance off of the tee. Because I was actually looking at the numbers and I was saying, hey, this proves that I'm doing the right thing and I'm playing the right driver. But in the reality, I think I'm playing the right shaft. So I bet if you took out this shaft and put in an autoflex shaft, you might see these numbers get very, very close to each other, because the autoflex shaft is supposed to give you 3, 4, 5 miles an hour faster club head speeds, which is supposed to translate to 10 to 20 yards. So what we're seeing here is 12 yards shorter, and I think that most of that is just because of the autoflex shaft. So if I were to say, is this a good club? Can it perform? Well, I think it does, because if I were to put a standard graphite shaft back in my TaylorMade, I think those numbers would be very, very close, right? So I think for most people, if you're looking for something to just unbox, put in a bag, get out on the golf course, enjoy and know that, hey, I'm not just playing some sort of cheap knockoff that I don't know if it's the performance or if it's me sending them out of bounds, well, you can rest assured that if you get the PGX driver here, that it's doing its job on your behalf. And so I think this is actually the right club for most new golfers. For most of us out there, we're trying to be thoughtful about how we're putting together a set based on our budgets, and we're trying to put together the best set possible for the typical golf swing. And I think this PGX offset driver is the right driver for most. And at $52, which is what I paid for it, and I know prices will vary, and I know supply chain issues are real, and prices are going up, but at $52, I have not seen a cheaper driver that comes fully assembled and does what it promises. So if playing your best golf game is going to make your life a little better, then I think you should be trying this. I'll put a link to this driver in the description below. Peter Von Panda, out.
We can discover more and explore so much.